what was really fascinating to me is looking at why do some people change and others don't? What are the things that keep us from really instantly coming into all that we could be? Why do some of us get more blocked than others? What restricts us from our full potential? So I'd like to touch on some of that and share what insight I might have so that you can walk away here today with maybe a little bit more information and a little bit more experience to implement that into your life. Peter mentioned a man called Bruce Lipton. Have you heard a little bit about what Bruce Lipton does? Well, he did a really fascinating experiment. He took basically a group of women living in an area of the United States that was which had a very, very low crime rate. And then he took another group of women who were living in the Bronx with a very high crime rate. And then what he did is that he took these women who had children and studied the brain chemistry in utero. That is, as the brain of these children were developing inside the womb, he was measuring the blood flow in the brain. Well, why is that important? What he sees is this, that, you know, if we were to take the complexity of neuroscience and boil it right down, we basically have a part of the brain that is more reptilian. It's millions of years old. It's what people call the hindbrain. It's where people would call it the human animal. It's the reactional part. It's what Peter may have mentioned as where our victimhood would come from. It's the place where we make decisions based on learnt behavior. Choice is not available if we live in the rear part of our brain. And we live in the rear part of the brain whenever we are stressed. Stress pushes the blood that would normally go to the front part of the brain, which is the part of your brain which is capable of experiencing awareness. Choice, where you can see yourself as yourself. See, this is what's so amazing. Human beings are the only animal on this earth that have the capacity to become aware of self. That is, it can actually zoom out in its own mind and go, ooh, this is Christian. I have a hand. You know, a dog might be able to experience an emotion, for example, by panting when it's happy and drooping its ears when it's sad. But it won't ever know itself as having that emotion. In other words, it's not having a thought going, I'm really sad right now. Dogs don't do that. And that's why they don't get worried and not stressed and they're not anxious and they're not dwelling on the past or creating plans for the future. They do not have that part of the brain that has the capacity to do that. As human beings, we do.